Welcome back to Return to Evolution, where we're going through the legendary tutorials of Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution and seeing how we can apply them to Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown. Today, Chapter 9, Use and Evade. The chapter consists of 3 sections: 9A, Evading a counterattack, 9B, Attacking after evading, and 9C, Evading in the middle of a series. 9A, Evading a counterattack. Recommended rank up to 1st Dan. What it is: 9A puts you in one of the most common scenarios that you'll be evading in, which is when you've had an attack blocked. If you anticipate a counterattack, you can evade it and maintain the offensive position that you previously lost. Why it's important. So last time we learned how the evades worked, but they only start to matter when you know how you can use them. Evading the counterattack is a great example of how Virtua Fighter is not always confined to taking turns like other fighting games are. When the opponent successfully blocks you, that doesn't mean you have to start blocking yourself or accept that it's time to take a beating. If you know your opponent and know the situation, you can use evades as an aggressive option to keep your turn after being blocked. How it teaches you. This time it asks you to get blocked and then evade the counterattack that's coming back at you. How to replicate it. Here we're just going to set the dummy to block and punish option 1. So they return your blocked offense with a jab of their own, and we're choosing this for a few reasons, but mostly because it's the fastest strike that they can respond with. So this proves that you can even evade their fastest attacks from a disadvantage. A couple of important notes here: you're going to want to hit them with something that is negative on block. If you hit them with a jab and then try to evade, for example, you'll notice that the timing of the evade is quite difficult. Also, after a jab, it's unlikely the opponent will respond in a real life scenario, since you'll still have the frame advantage. So you're going to want to pick something that puts you at a disadvantage, like an elbow, but not at so much of a disadvantage that they're guaranteed a punish, like a knee. So for now, pick an elbow style attack, hit the blocking dummy, and then tap evade in time with when you think that they're going to counterattack. Done properly, you should see your character swiftly step out of the way of the counter, covering your mistake. 9B, Attacking after evading. Recommended rank up to 1st Dan. What it is: this is effectively an additional step on the previous one. Now that you've successfully evaded, you have the advantage again, but only if you know what to do with it. Why it's important. 9B wants you to get the feeling of successfully evading. A successful evade without a counterattack, throw or setup on the end of it is a missed opportunity. We no longer have the evading attacks that it recommends here from Virtua Fighter 4, but you still have the option of throws, and some fast attacks might be able to nab a quick bit of damage here. Or what's common with most characters is that a successful evade is a gateway into a Nitaku opportunity. I'll drop a link to Nitaku in the description and at the end of this video for more on that. How it teaches you: much like last time, it's just going to ask you to get blocked, get out of the way, but this time you can actually return with something of your own. Like I say, it wants you to return this with an evading attack. They don't exist anymore in Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown, so we'll be using fast punishes, throws, or those Nitakus that we were mentioning before. How to replicate it: this time I'd recommend setting the dummy to guard and counterattack 1 for finding which of your fastest evade counterattacks will work. Realistically, it is unlikely that an opponent will always respond with a fast high when they've been blocked though. In fact, they'll often have some frame advantage that they want to make use of. So also give this a shot with evade and counterattack 3, which is their mid, so you can see a variety and get a feel of different types of more ambitious counterattacks. Off the mid, some slow moves will work here as well, of course. So mix these two options up, and you also want to mix in throws from time to time when you're practicing your punishes. Throws cannot be evaded, so if they respond to your evade with an evade of their own, this is a reliable option for putting a stop to it, alongside the half and full circle as discussed in Chapter 8. And 9C, Evading in the middle of a series, recommended rank 1st Dan or above. What it is: 9C pretty much spells it out here, so I'm just going to read this verbatim, which is that if you keep guarding against your opponent's combinations, you'll soon find yourself at the edge of the ring, and instead of that, you can block the first strike and then evade in the middle of a series, and that'll get you out of the way, and then you can counterattack before having to face ring outs, wall bounces, and all the rest of it. Why it's important: knowledge checks are a regularly occurring challenge in Virtua Fighter. Your opponent may do things that only put them at risk if you're aware of how to beat them. The 2 most common things you'll find here in the early Qs and Dans are strings of highs that just need to be ducked, and strings of linear attacks that just need to be evaded, which is what we'll be doing here. It's common also for the last hit of a lot of basic strings to be a half or full circular too, so evading before the last hit is also something to think about and to practice. How it teaches you: this time it's going to ask you to evade in the middle of a block string. It's going to hit you with an old Vanessa combo from a defensive stance. You're going to guard high for the first 2 and then evade the last one. How to replicate this: rather than the defensive punch kick combo used here in Virtua Fighter 4's exercise, we've got an offensive stance one instead. So start your recording by switching stance, then do your 3 guards to serve as a timer, followed by Vanessa's stride combination, which is another punch kick combination, into a guard. This one has a nice big recovery window to get a hold of at the end of it, so guard the first 2 hits, sidestep the kick, and then see what kind of punishes you can follow up with. There are certainly more practical strings to practice sidesteps against, once you've got the feel of it. Sometimes you're sidestepping to get a big punish window, sometimes it's because the block string leaves the opponent with an advantage that you don't want to give them, sometimes it's to get out of a string before it branches into a mix-up scenario so you don't have to guess. At that point it's going to be down to you to see what your opponents are getting away with, including evades as part of your own labbing. There's a good chance you're not as stuck as they make you feel. And that's it for another week. Once again, I'm leaving you with loads of homework here, because that last one you really are going to have to just keep fighting a lot of different people and find all those different opportunities for yourself. But that's all part of the journey of Virtual Fighter. I'll see you next week for Chapter 10.